Very nice to meet you. My name's Ashley, and today I want to go over the different ruins of the Great Plateau in the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. The reason for this is that there's a lot of stories that you can come up with the ruins of the Great Plateau, as well as all of the ruins within Hyrule. And beyond just the normal story, there's more than just the stories of the ruins. What I love about Breath of the Wild is that you can go through and you can be more than just, the explorer trying to gain the resources and the gear you need in order to rescue the princess, as is the whole premise, the main story for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. But you can also be, the monster hunter that's going around and getting rid of as many monsters as you can that are plaguing the citizens of Hyrule. You can be the naturalist who wants to go around and once you get, certain information and equipment within the game, figure out all the different animals and plants that exist within Hyrule and what they can be used for. If you want to, play a chef, you can literally be a chef in this game. It's one of the beautiful things about it. Personally, I always liked looking at the ruins and thinking of, how were these used? What other purposes did they have? And, starting with the Great Plateau, since that's where you started the game, it's where you should start. Right now, we are in the Shrine of Resurrection, and this is obviously, a shrine where you bring someone back to life. Having looked at the setup, it's really interesting because it looks almost like the top of the chamber lowers a little bit right here, so then that way, this is all covered up until you wake up, and then it lifts up and the water drains away and you get out of it. And then you have over here the pedestal where you picked up the Sheikah slate, which means even though they weren't entirely sure what the Sheikah slate was used for, whenever the Great Calamity first struck, they knew that this was like a charging port. You could lay the Sheikah slate there and it would be safe until, it was needed, excuse me. So I find it very interesting that even though they didn't know much about their ruins, that they knew enough about them to actually be able to use them and function with them. The next chamber has obvious supplies in it that, have kind of gone to ruin, but that's okay. That happens whenever things are left sitting around for 100 years. There's treasure chests for, clothing that, you can wear, because being naked, although entertaining, isn't really useful, especially whenever, the monster hunting part of the game is not the thing you enjoy the most, which, unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm one of those people. I'm not very good at the monster hunting. But you can move stuff, and pick things up, and, they clearly planned to use this at some point beyond just, what it needed to be used for, saving Link once bad things happened to him. They probably had plans that, if any of the royal family got hurt during the calamity, to put them here. But, whenever Link got hurt too, he kind of took
Hold
priority.
the Sheikah slate up to the pedestal. That will show you the way.
But yes, the ruins and the technology is just super fascinating to me. Even we, normal, everyday world, there's all kinds of ruins and artifacts from ancient civilizations that were this stuff is really cool. And some of it is, we're using today. The Aztec and Maya sewer systems, the obvious Greek and Roman architecture. You can find it just about anywhere. There are houses and buildings for, official work are at.
Link, You are the light. Our light. That must shine upon Hyrule once again. Now go.
And I'm not sure if this is dust or snow, but whenever you actually get outside, you can see that it's actually kind of up high, and there's rocks and dirt. It's very obvious that, you know, beyond that door that we just went through, that this place wasn't very well protected against the elements. And they probably knew about it even before the calamity, for the simple fact that, you know, they found it, and then they were working very hard to unearth it. They just, you know, only got so far. And probably kept this right here in place just as like an extra precaution if for whatever reason they needed to go through and kind of do extra protection. Because, you know, your enemy chasing after you and then suddenly falling whenever they're not expecting a fall isn't fun or pleasant. And this is just always a very beautiful scene. You have the mountains and the castle there in the middle, and it's just all very, very gorgeous. And there's a rainbow. Never noticed that one before. But yeah, it's all very, very pretty. And then there's the Temple of Time and the Old Man, which in stories, the old man, the ancient wise one, has always played very important roles as like mentors or guides, or, you know, always been more helpful than hindrance, the old men have. Sometimes they're a hindrance, but not always. So my plan is to go through and explore the ruins of the Great Plateau before opening up the Sheikah State, just because the Sheikah Tower, because I haven't done that before, and I'm wondering if they're like different, and that will be interesting to see how they change between raising up the Sheikah Tower, if the game will let me, and letting it stay down. And again, I'm not great at the monster hunting part, so I'm going to gather as many weapons as I can. And yes, tree branches aren't the greatest weapons, but when they're the only thing you got, they're better than nothing. And again, I was talking about, you know, different resources you can gather. So yeah, this was probably very purposefully hidden for the fact to better protect anyone who, you know, got placed in it, whether that be the royal family during, you know, a catastrophe and they needed to be resurrected, or the hero, as it so happened to turn out to need to happen. We're just going to stay here so then that way I can get some of my stamina back. There we go. So we can see the shrine that is a part of the winter area just fine. So it doesn't look like that one changes too much before you rise up the Sheikah Tower. And there's some bokoblins, and there's a squirrel. Let's see. We're not going to deal with the bokoblins right now, because again, I want to just look at the ruins and explore them before we actually, you know, go through.
Link,
It's probably going to go through it.
head for the point marked on the map in your Sheikah slate.
Yeah, it's going to have me do that before we go and do any of the exploring. I'll go through and do my best to explore it before we go through and raise up the tower. But no. Got the squirrel. And I know before I can actually go to that area, I gotta, you know, get some actual winter stuff going. But you can see that it looks like there used to be a bridge over there, which meant that over there were very important probably ceremonies that took place, endurance type rituals, I would imagine, for the simple fact of, you know, it is cold, so therefore it's uncomfortable. Also, the very peak of the mountain on the Great Plateau probably held also significance just because, well, it is like the top of the world almost. Yes, Death Mountain is probably bigger as well as Mount Hebra, but from the birthplace of Hyrule, which is what the Great Plateau is believed to be, like, you can't really do much better to survey the entire kingdom. So we're just gonna have a gander around. You can see down there that there looks to be other ruins, like that pillar. Probably was just like an entryway marker. And there's another Bokoblin camp. There's a Bokoblin camp up there. We're gonna go looking around. And that way we can see all the ruins before and after we lift up the tower. And we'll also get different names for different areas and important markers and landmarks. Yep, got too cold. I'm probably only going to stay up here a little bit, just to kind of look and see what's going on around. Ah, it went back to normal temperature, so we're good. But yeah, you can see there's another, like, pillar right there. So it was probably, these towers are probably used as, like, marker and waypoints. So then that way, you know, if people were traveling to these sacred sites during inclement weather, they could still find their way and know where they were going and making sure that they were going the right way. That is part of a wall, probably just up there for aesthetics more likely, since the Great Plateau was such a sacred site. They had to, you know, make sure it was well protected and that it was also pretty and decorative. I imagine it would be very similar to the walls that are put around a castle. They're there for protection, yes, but they're also there to sort of be decorative and pretty and shiny and be like, hey, look, this is what we can do. We are great architects and things of that nature. Which this Bokoblin camp has a treasure chest to it, which if, you know, you're someone who likes to do treasure hunting, this would be a really good place, you know, mark on your map to be like, this is where I come when I want to, you know, find certain treasure. Let's attack this guy now. There's the other camp. And then we're going to work on making our way down further, since I really kind of just wanted to climb up to see if I could see anything interesting before we lifted up the tower, which we do see the Sheikah Shrine off in the distance. There's a boar. Again, lots of different animals and creatures within Breath of the Wild, so if you're someone who likes to, you know, look at animals and figure that stuff out. And there's a pigeon of some sort. I'm assuming that's a pigeon. It looks like a pigeon. And a lizard. Squirrels, which drop acorns a lot. And that's another thing about the animals, is that if you find a bunch of animals, you can usually find certain resources that those particular animals, you know, you would think would be drawn to. So like the squirrels, you find a bunch of squirrels, you'll find a bunch of acorns. The boars, I believe, are attracted to mushrooms, so you'll find mushrooms if you find a bunch of boars. The deer, I don't think the deer are attracted to anything in particular, nor are the birds. But as you can see, there's another entryway into the frozen area of the Great Plateau, which, again, probably just acted as a way marker, an entry point, something specific for you to be like, hey, look, this is where you need to go if you're wanting to do this specific thing. We have some steps down here, which, again, the Shrine of Resurrection was probably very specifically hidden. So then that way, you know, if the hero or the royal family needed to seek some, you know, immediate medical attention, it wasn't something that, you know, people would be able to get to easily, but they wanted it still to have some roads, so then that way if people did need to get up here, it wouldn't be super hard or super difficult. It would just be, you know, a little bit extra work. And it's distinctly possible that they were also, you know, starting to dig into the rest of this mountain to see if they could find any other shrines or any other useful information and tools about the ancient Chica. So, these roads were probably here more for, you know, ease of actual entry and exit than anything else. And then here's the old man who, you know, offers aid. Yeah, no, you'll spare it for right now, but that's okay. I like him. He's a cool character. Yeah, no. As you look through things, yeah, alone is definitely the word for this. I mean, to be fair, he just woke up and doesn't remember a lot of stuff, so questions are kind of big right now. Yeah, the Great Plateau I find to be very interesting because I believe it was raised up. I don't believe it was a naturally occurring thing like the ancient Chica raised it up. And, you know, if the calamity hadn't happened, then that temple would not have been left in a state of decay. So it gives you an idea of, you know, even though it's decaying, it's still in really good shape, which means it was a very important piece of history for the people. I'm gonna take his apple because we can. Yeah. I also have a torch, which the torches are useful. Their own weapons. I mean, yeah, teaching you the lock-on targeting, which, you know, lighting the torch on fire does do extra damage with the weapon, but it also, you know, breaks it faster and quicker, which, here's a spot where if you can figure out how to light it, you can light it. And an axe. Axes are helpful and useful. So, over here is actually a very interesting little relic. It's a reference to the sword that you find in A Link to the Past, if I remember correctly. But I find it also interesting because to me it's also a reference to like the Sword in the Stone and the Lady of the Lake, because it's in the middle of a lake. So it's a very nice little nod to, you know, not only previous Zelda games, but actually just human folklore in general, because, you know, Link is a hero who was woken up whenever his country's greatest time of need, Zelda losing her grip on her binding of Calamity Ganon, so he's kind of needed to help with that, like, you know, was the original plan so long ago. So I find that to be another interesting little nod. Let's see. Yes, we have the orange marker. going to go ahead and change my weapon to the axe since it's an actual weapon and not just a bunch of sticks. Hi! He apparently has a very nice stick. Because if you don't, sometimes certain enemies definitely will take advantage of you not striking them whenever they're already down. And again, as I previously stated, I'm not the greatest when it comes to fighting. And here we are going up against, again, to some other ruins. In terms of references, it has been stated that this is like a reference to the original Clock Town, because you have the circular fountain over here, where in Ocarina of Time, the couple would sit in front of and dance, which was cute. And then you also have leads up to the temple and the other temples that are in this area. Because in the Hyrule Warriors game, Age of Calamity, you actually get to see that these smaller buildings before the Temple of Time were actually like other temples dedicated to the other goddesses of Hyrule. There's another choo-choo, which this would probably be the main path that pilgrims would take from down below. As you can see, the pond over here leads to a staircase if you actually look kind of down into it, which is probably where people mainly came up through whenever they were doing their pilgrimages to this place. And yep, there's guardians down there. These are all unactivated ones. But it's still kind of, scary that, these things came crawling up, not just up the stairs that are down that way, but they also came crawling up the walls of the protection that was set up around the Great Plateau, and just very, very scary, I'm sure, that day whenever people, who were just normally doing their pilgrimages found out that, oh, the calamity's happening and we're here on the plateau. Like, how many of them left families behind for their pilgrimages? How many of them, brought their families with them to this pilgrimage that they went on? Because it's a lot, actually kind of scary whenever you think about what must have happened that day. And there was probably a bridge here to kind of, as people came through, they could be prayed over, or, had different, like, vendors and welcoming committees and parties to basically say hello to the pilgrims as, they finally made their way from wherever it is that they came from. And this is another goblin camp. And it's even possible that, there were multiple entrances. This might have just been the main one for, if the royal family was doing one of their pilgrimages. This might have been the main entrance that the royal family used. And there's another Sheikah shrine. You can kind of get a better look at this is your friend if, you know, you don't do very good at learning sort of stuff. Previously stated, I'm not exactly 100% good at, but I do my best, and I can get further not a lot, further than some. Climb up here, sit for a minute to get myself back. This terrain seems really uncomfortable. An arrow. Barrel, which may have stuff in it, but I'm not going to go through just yet to break barrels. This guy up poor guy, no idea what they know. Oh, let's see what our treasure is. We also have a nice little cooking fire there. It's always nice and helpful. Make some food just so then that way my inventory is full. So for that, we'll just go through and drop some of the twigs that I picked up. There we go. But yeah, these statues up here are very reminiscent of the bird heraldry that the royal family is usually seen with, which a lot of people believe that to be a stylized symbol for the loft wings from the Skyward Sword, which makes a lot of sense. Also, you know, if the princess is said to be, you know, a goddess incarnate, reincarnated, then, you know, birds have also had a very strong symbolism with, you know, the divine. Eagles and hawks have all been very strongly associated with the divine. So the royal family having a divine animal makes a lot of sense. Alright. So over there is where the Chica Tower terminal is. And I'm going to try and maybe ignore some of that for right now to see how the different ruins look before we activate So why don't we go ahead and go to the temple area and see how that looks. Because whenever you get the terminal set up, it'll be much, much bigger. And you'll be able to see things much, much easier. So you can pull up your map, and your map can actually show you, you know, different things, names. But yeah, this place in Prime is probably a very important sacred religious site. Has several temples dedicated to all the various gods and goddesses of the game. And there are probably multiple entrances, so then that way people from different parts of the kingdom could come in through different ways. This is probably, you know, a bridge, so then that way people can get to one side to the other, which has, you know, been ruined. It's possible that there might have also been a river underneath this to kind of help get water sources might have just all been paved. It's really hard to tell unless you go down there and look. Oh, yep, I died. I fell too far. I don't have enough help. Continue. We'll see where my last save was. Tips and tricks. This is a very nice thing that they put in here because there are some stuff that you're just like, wait, what am I doing? Wait, that's a thing that I can do? Alright. So, we won't go that way. We will just go ahead and go over to where the bridge is at. And then see about going to the temple. So, if I remember correctly, in the Age of Calamity game, this was one of the temples. One of the goddesses. I don't remember which one was from. That's okay. Caught my friend here. So what's in this chest? Hyrule trousers. And it looks like this would have been one of the first temples that you came across as you came up the way. There's a second one over there, it looks like. But yeah, this looks like it was just a very simple building. You came in, you said your prayers. There might have been an altar here originally. Or, you know, this is where the priest stood and gave them blessings, priests, priestesses, and then you would go about to the rest of the pilgrimage. Check out that other temple. Let's get rid of this one. The three smaller temples were dedicated to the creation goddesses, Din, Nehru, Bayor, and the Temple of Time, of course, has the giant statue of Hylia within it. Again, it has a very similar layout to the one opposite of it. Probably a priest or a priestess stood up here and gave blessings or sermons to the pilgrims that came in. Which, whenever the calamity struck, and in the Hyrule Warriors game, the king and his guard came back to the Great Plateau as like the final stand point, and you don't really think about the fact that, you know, how many people were here whenever this terrible event took place. And this is one of the other temples that was dedicated. Oh, you can see it right here. This is the one dedicated to, if I remember correctly, that is a symbol for Bayor, which makes sense that, you know, maybe closer to the Temple of Time, just because, you know, Bayor is the one usually associated with the hero. And we'll go back and see if we can find which temples those other ones are dedicated to. I knew they had symbols for them somewhere. I just couldn't remember where you would find them. And, you know, the one for Fayor would be closest to the goddess statue for the Temple of Time, because again, Fayor is the one usually associated with the hero. Let's see if I can get away this grass. We can find it. Here it is. That looks like the one for Nehru. But it's kind of hard to see. But you can kind of make out 3 symbols there. I'll have to double check my, you know, lore. Because it's been a while since I've seen those symbols. Here should be a symbol. If we make it out after cutting the grass. Oh, that's the three circles, so to speak. But yeah. Each of these were dedicated to the creation goddesses. Because they're not really lesser goddesses. The way that, you know, the story frames it makes it sound like, you know, Hylia was originally a lesser goddess, but because of, you know, her role throughout the Skyward Sword, she became a more important goddess because, well, she's the one that protected all the humans. Whenever the demon demise showed up. And then after you probably get the blessings or the sermons from the 3 temples of the 3 creation goddesses, then you could probably come up to the Temple of Time for your final, you know, prayers and services for your pilgrimage. Neglect it technically had. It's still very pretty. You have the 6 smaller statues of her around it, probably meant to represent the sages. You can actually pray before you even, you know anything about it. But yeah, no, this, even though it's in pretty bad shape, it's held up really well for 100 years, even though something, you know, attacked it really hard. It's probably, again, the place where the king and his men, any pilgrim that could fight, or, you know, had the ability to stand and fight, probably stood their ground. log cabin sort of set up. And the only thing they, have to deal with is the goblins and anything else that got left up here whenever the Guardians probably destroyed the gateway in and out. My inventory's full, hot lid, which can kind of act as a shield. Self-sustainable. And there's the bottom of the plateau, which will go that way. Definitely not gonna fail along the way. Which it would make sense for them to, put their Abbey near one of the Sheikah shrines because it's so important. The hero and his future endeavors. Nice little shade trees. Oh, that one's right there. Yeah. It looks like it might have been built right into the wall here, so then that way it's less construction technically. Yeah, the Abbey. Stuck a little room, probably in the rooms for individual priests and priestesses. This is an awfully big rock, probably thrown by a guardian. Because if you look to the front of the Abbey, there actually are guardians. And one of these guys is supposed to be alive. Looks like it has several individual rooms. I think it's actually one of these guys right here that's alive, technically, because you can use his beam to open up the entrance into the Sheikah Shrine. But yeah, you can see the Guardians are coming here, because this is probably where... There he is. He's awake. There he is. Guardians showed up. Which is... I don't think so much the Guardians showed up after they took care of all the fighters. I think the Guardians were just like, oh, that's where people are at, and we're working on getting rid of all humans. So, we gotta go over there and get rid of all humans. Yeah. A lot of people say that, the Great Calamity Ganon is kind of like a mindless beast. The game itself says that it's a mindless beast. But I don't think it's as mindless as they want to imply it is. I think it was actually a lot more clever than the game itself even gives it credit for the simple fact of, if you're a mindless beast, you don't necessarily go after things that aren't fighting you. If something is like hiding and not fighting you, animals tend to ignore those things. Usually. Not often. Not every time. But an animal, if it's not bothering them, they usually will leave it alone. They don't go out of their way to deal with things that are not a threat. But yeah, oh, there's another one awake. I forgot there were two here. Why I live. So we're gonna leave the Abbey alone for right now. So, absolutely have to go back to the Abbey. Oh, small little pond for the Abbey. People have actually also looked at the other titles in the game for other regions, and the Abbey is actually said to be like a reference to the Eastern Temple and A Link to the Past, which again, the Breath of the Wild is just full of references of all kinds, and it's really great and wonderful and awesome to go through and figure them all out. Yeah, you can see off in the distance the Hylian Lake Bridge. Fun little place too. Let's see. Go ahead and look down there. And then probably after we do over here, go to the other side of everything. Yeah, this is all. This wasn't water. This was stone. This might have actually been one of the other ways to get to the snowy region, the endurance region, so to speak. As you can see where it leads to it a little bit, it like goes back around it, where that might have been the way that, the priests came from their abbey, which isn't too far away, over to the temples to start their services. They might have come up this back way, which looks like it might have been paved at one point. So yeah, we're going to go explore the other side of the Great Plateau before, lifting up the tower and activating all of the, actual in-game story plot. Which, again, depending upon how you want to run it, there's actually a lot of different stories that you can play out in this. Which it will be very interesting to see if in the next game you can go through and do revitalizations of ancient ruins, or if there's a way that you could maybe go through and like do more like archaeology type stuff, where you can actually go through and dig up more parts of these different ruins to see what's underneath or anything like that. This might actually, since this is such a huge area, this might have at one point been like a spot where they would do like reenactments and things of that nature. We're gonna ignore that for a moment. We're gonna go ahead and look at the other side of the plateau before we raise up the tower. So then that way we can look at them before there are changes to like the story that you'll play through. There's a lot of trees in this part. And if I remember correctly, like this area is said to be like this forest of spirits, which that's bog. Bogs are not nice. Some more like water. Obvious, but they aren't very cool looking. And I do have the extra content, which is what that chest is. But we're gonna ignore that for right now. But yeah, there were probably multiple entryways into the Great Plateau, depending upon like where you were approaching it from. Unfortunately, whenever the calamity struck, they all were destroyed somehow or got closed up to limit the amount of possible entryways into them. I find it very interesting that the Great Plateau does not seem like it's a man-made thing at all. Like, it's super high up, there's only like so many entrances, and you have all these like walls that, you know, probably work for fortification reasons, but also like decorative. And as you can see, here's another little building type area. Probably another place where priests and priestesses would have lived. And goblins turned it into a place for them to live at. Got a kill. But yeah, no, you can like also like watch the monsters and how they do different interactions. Like they were chasing that boar all over their camp, and now they're chowing down. We're taking a look at the ruins before we activate the story and get the map to see what they're actually called, and then we'll go over them again to see if there's anything that's changed, if there are any that I missed. Because more than likely there are some that I missed, because there's a lot of ruins in this place. Also, I didn't go to the cold ruin because, well, cold. I don't have gear for that yet, but I know that there is a way to get gear for it. Yeah, I think this is one of the Korok spots, which I think you can collect them even before you raise up the tower. Yep, see? The Koroks are fun. Yes, Hetsu. He lost his stuff. Don't be afraid to look around suspicious places. There's a lot of suspicious places. Alright, let's keep going. I just love all the environment in this game. It's super pretty. And there's another crop. That one's the flower. That, if I remember correctly, is the tallow slips. They're not going to play with anything. There's these. Won't play with them either because they get mad very easily. And even though I don't have the tower raised up, you can still kind of see like the edges of each map area before you even like pull them up. There's another spot where the goblin can set up camp. But yeah, that was that tower that we saw earlier. That was probably, like I said, a marker for, you know, hey, if you're heading this way, come this way. This might have been, looks like maybe part of the road that you would take, because there's pillars all along it. Looks like to ascertain where the correct path is. And then it's going to start getting cold here in a second. It's getting closer and closer. Oh look, a nice fire where you can cook stuff up. There's another goblin den. Part of one of the entryways might have been, you know, you have the Rito fly. It's distinctly possible that they might have not so much had like an actual gate where they walked into, they had like a landing zone area. Let's go ahead and climb up here. See if I can find anything interesting. Let's see. Yeah, I should be able to get up. Got too much problem. There we go. And then again, there's the way to get me even further up. And then you can see more of the cold area, which the Rito landing area might have actually been in the colder region, since Rito actually live in a fairly cold place. The Hebra region is really far north and therefore really cold. There's a waterfall. really don't do a whole lot other than, you know, adding story elements, like the old man bouncing around everywhere. Oh, look, another one of the cork things. Yep. Almost bit it there. Definitely work on climbing down stuff, not just falling down them. But then again, half of the fun is, you know, how can I make this hurt? Alright. Go ahead and this way. And we'll come forward a little bit so that way we can climb down. Because we're going to climb our way down. Remember when the old man said be careful lighting stuff on fire, especially around dry grass? Well, there's an entire region where you can play with that mechanic. Now look, there's a nice little fire down here too to get you started. But yeah, let's go ahead and raise up the tower so that way we can look at the map and see if there are any buttons that I missed. I like how a strong breeze doesn't affect your climbing foot rate. Breeze here is time to take. Something to take from those little small trees that were there. Just hanging out, having fun. There we go. One further, it's even. Well, they're probably more close to it. Yeah, we'll eventually come to deal with the Talos, but not right now. These ain't creatures. Another tree big chili here. So yeah, if you're someone who likes cooking, there's lots of cooking in this game, and there are lots of ways to do it even vegetarian style if you are so inclined to be vegetarian about it. Look, another little place where you can start a fire. Ah, there's a piece of flint there. I'll take that. And that is your clue to, you know, put down a flint, hit it with a sharp object. It'll start a fire. The game does a really good job of, you know, helping people who maybe have never played a Zelda game or any sort of, you know, video game that involves, you know, collecting resources, survival, because this is a survival game, but it's not as big of a survival game as, you know, some of the others that are out there. But it still has some very strong survival elements. But it does a very good job of giving you like clues and ideas of what you can do with different things. It even has the screen tip section for you if you're like really lost and confused as to what to do. Alright, let's go lift up the tower and then we'll look and see at all the different ruins, see if they're again missed. All those. There we go. Next broke. Let's see. We'll go ahead and use one of those. Just to see, the boat moves a little bit faster, which is again one of the nice things about this game is that it has lots of different styles of fighting. So if there's one in particular that you like, you can just stick with that one and call it done. Alright. Look at this. Again, I don't want to necessarily get too close because I think it activates a cutscene whenever you get close enough to it. Just kind of get a nice look. Shoot. Which makes you wonder, like, this used to be a hill that, you know, they probably started uncovering whenever they learned that, you know, oh, there were these Sheikah, like, towers and things like that also around Hyrule. Well, let's look and see if we can find any of them. That was probably the first one that they found. Jumps in the air and I get we'll go ahead and change it to another club. So then that way we have a nice one. Alright, yeah, there we go. So I guess it didn't activate a cutscene. Just kind of climb all over it, look around. And then you just examine it. Which I know the game has voice acting, but I wonder if the Sheikah slates just, you know, speak whenever someone approaches them. Or if it, you know, has some sort of, like, dialogue box that pops up. I imagine it's a sound in, you know, real life, in quotes. All of these bits. Even the one about which, again, light is both a particle and, you know, not a particle. It's really fascinating. Regional map extracted. Yeah, it'll be fun to go through all of the different areas.
Try to remember. You have been asleep for the past 100 years. The beast. When the beast regains its true power, this world will face its end. Now then, must hurry, Link. Before it's too late.
Yeah, the people that can go through this and just immediately go from the Great Plateau through the castle, those people have a lot of skill that I do not have. Alright, let's look at the map real quick. Inventory, systems. There we go, the map. And then you can zoom in. There's that shrine. The Eastern Abbey. Which, yeah, that's probably where all your priests and priestesses would sleep whenever they were done with their sermons for the day. Mount Hylia. And you can kind of see where some, depending upon what it is, where some potential Koroxes are at. I find this really interesting name for this particular river, spring, lake, whatever you want to call it, the River of the Dead. It makes you wonder if this is where, you know, they would come to bury important figureheads or the royal family, like lay them to rest within the waters of Mount Hylia. Since, you know, this is said to be the birthplace of Hyrule. And then Hopper Pond, apparently a bunch of frogs. Forest of Spirits. Here's the Temple of Time. And again, the other temples dedicated to the other goddesses. There's the tower. And then you can kind of see like the promenade entranceway up into the Great Plateau. Right there. This big area could have also potentially been like a market area for the pilgrims to, you know, buy supplies or souvenirs or trinkets from their pilgrimage. But yeah, it looks like we might have gone over most of the ruins except for the ones in the cold area, which we'll go work on getting the supplies for that. And can't get down this way, so we're gonna have to just climb down. Ah, here we go. This is where we climb down at. Because falling from this side definitely is another Druidite. And that's okay. Here we go. Nice little rest spot, so then that way we can recover some of our energy. And now you can kind of sort of drop from platform to platform from here, which is nice. You don't have to climb all the way down. You just kind of jump platform to platform to get to the bottom. This tower is by far the nicest tower. The others are kind of difficult, depending upon, you know, your skill level. lot of innocent, even up on the plateau. Yeah, no way that, is viable any longer.
Oh. Oh. Hmm. Hmm.
Yay, adventure log.
Huh.
Yeah, the old man, I like him a lot. And you can see that he does have some, like, regalia on him. It's not something that you would normally expect just anyone to have. Like his dress, he has an overcoat, and his hood is very, other than patchy, it's kind of stylized, and it kind of almost reminds me of like priest vestments with the triangles that hang down and the overcoat.
Hmm.
Yeah, now those are all glowing. Yes, which makes it very, very fun. Alright, we'll go collect our first orb. This is very fun. The shrine. Lemon. Travel gate registered to map. Yeah, no, the fact that they made the shrines travel gates was a very good thing. This map is huge. Like, even the plateau is fairly large. So to get to one side of it to the other, it's kind of nice to be able to do it. I like how the Chica stuff is like a computer. Well, once you figure out how to use one computer, you get an idea of how most other computers of the same type work. If you use Mac, you know how most Macs work. If you use a PC, you know how most PCs work. If you go back and forth between the two, you fiddle around with it a little bit, but if you know how one computer works, You know how all other computers in that style work, usually. Ladder. I don't think there's anything beyond that. At least not on this side. Maybe something on the other side. Just normal line. Another thing that's really cool about all of this, like, everyone has their own different way of figuring out these puzzles, which was just awesome. Ah, yes. Little bird. He's all better now. Yeah, it's really, really lots of fun. There are so many different ways to solve each one of these shrines. And, you know, watching one person do it, you can very easily have a way that you're like, wait, I never thought of that before. It's awesome. And they, you know, took the time to be like, alright, how can we make this multiple directional puzzle so then that way anyone can figure it out, you know, at a time and effort. Yeah, what do we got? Traveler's bow. And my inventory. So we'll go ahead and drop one of the goblin bows. Let's see, we'll go ahead and get rid of this one. And because the diamond means that it has more durability, which means I can get more shots on it. Now they won't go in that place. And Shiga monks are very, very cool too, just because of all the different poses that they are in. The stasis that they put themselves in. Yay! And the old man is, once again, right there. Which, knowing who he actually is, that makes you feel kind of sad for him.
Hmm. Oh.
No, they were kind of sort of exiled, but that's okay.
Huh.
Yes, yes they are.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh.
Teaches you teleportation.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, no, spin around very, very long time. Alright. Yay, teleportation. Yeah, no, that's always useful whenever, you know, you're trying to hide. And very suspicious old man
Hmm.
being able to...
Hmm.
Yes, we know about it because the game was nice enough to tell us.
Oh.
Alright, so we'll mark out where the shrines are. See, there's one up over there. And then we know there was another one over by the mountain of Hylia. And then there was that one. The other one was over by the Abbey, yes. There it is. Got all three.
Hmm. Oh.
Alright, we'll go over to the Abbey first. Since that one's, you know, closest. We'll also find the book. Yep, that happened. Didn't move far enough. Didn't move fast enough, so I jumped. But that's okay. There are worse things to do. But yeah, no. Battle tip. Yes, yes, I have that problem quite frequently. Oh goody, it put me down here. That was intense. It did not. That's okay. So, we'll just travel back up here. See if the man's back up there. And that way we've used the feature twice now. I can say that I did the tutorial, which I know a lot of people don't really enjoy tutorials. But this game actually did a very good job with tutorials from like what everyone says. No one has a lot of complaints about the way they did their tutorial for Breath of the Wild. Alright, let's see if I can do this again without dying. Good at combat, probably enjoy, running around and killing as many monsters as they could, as quickly as they could, before a blood moon rise. And, see what they can get for their high score. That one's not awake, but I believe... Part of the reason why I think it might be possible that there were other entrances, even if they were like small entrances, hidden entrances. Like just to have one main path from a place seems like very poor planning. Yep, there we go. From the Abbey, whenever, Guardians were attacking it, just flung it. There we go. This one, if I remember correctly, is the bomb. If I remember correctly. But I don't really have the greatest memory either. As, previously stated, I wasn't sure which got us Switch. It's been a while since I played a Zelda game. Like, the last time I played this game was back in 2001. December of 2001. I was hunting for Korok seeds. I like having the extra weapons since I'm really bad at fighting. Ooh, excuse me again. I like how they have different bombs for this. Like they gave you the round ones and they gave you the square ones, and you could pick which one you wanted to use. Change runes. So we're gonna pick. Let it go. Nope. You can put a square one there too, and that works just as well. which I probably got more stuff out of. Traveler's Claim. Oh, apparently I did not have a used slot for that. But yeah, this gives me very strong, like, the Tower of the Gods from Legend vibes, and I like that game. I know whenever it first came out, people were not huge fans because of the art style. Alright, here's the book. Gonna need. What's nice about these shrines is that you can go back in them after completing them. So then if there's a chest that you didn't have enough space for, but you really like the item in it, you can go back through later and pick it up. So then that way, you know, you can kind of use these as little extra inventory slots. It's a shame you can't put things in the chest. That's the only thing that's a little sad. Hi. What weapons do I have? Is there anything I feel like dropping? No, I'm not gonna drop anything. We're not gonna play with the Guardian. Even though, you know, there's some people out there that are really like, play with the Guardian. I'm not that person. Those guys tear me up every time. Tear me up every time. Because I am not great at combat. So... I got an eye. Plateau. It's on Gerudo Highlands stuff. I'm not gonna be able to get it until I get the paraglider. It's gonna be gone by then. That's okay. Did a really good job of trying to encourage you to use the resource economy with the stamina wheel and that. So if I say pepper, alright, let's see. Don't remember. No, it just looks like it gives you. We're gonna do 2 peppers, a mushroom, an herb, and an apple. Alright. Let's see. How long is it? 6 minutes? That's not bad. We're gonna go ahead and make one more just to be on 6. Oh no, we gotta go. Cause unfortunately the star fragment is gonna be gone. 3 hours. Oh wait. it's just the music up here for the... Sounds like a sound record, though. So we're gonna go ahead and go get that
Oh. Oh. Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Yay!
Hmm.
There we go. Now, there's people who have gone through and looked at like what this place right here is called, and it's apparently King's Tomb, and it's, you know, a little sad, like the King's grave. And you know that, you know, whenever the Guardians finally did stop attacking, that the King, you know, had passed during that fight, that, you know, it was probably priests and all the survivors that came here probably didn't bury him here because this looks like solid rock. You know, they're the ones that got the rock together and brought them up here and stood it up so then that way he could symbolize him watching over his kingdom and the birthplace of Hyrule for like ever. Alright, so since we're here, we'll go ahead and go over to the Cryonis shrine. But yeah, there's like clearly defined paths, which, you know, might have been game designed to like kind of help direct people to where they need to go. But it's also just really possible that, you know, this used to be actual paths that the priests and priestesses and, you know, certain individuals who have been sanctioned to do certain rituals took in these places. Yeah, I like looking for the Koroks because, again, I like the inventory space whenever, you know, I have the opportunity to get it. I have a friend who, you know, doesn't like that noise, which I can understand. It's kind of high-pitched and squeaky. Because, again, there's a shrine right there. And if they had, you know, built their abbey, you know, the place where the priests sleep and live whenever they're not doing their sermons, like, these were important places, like, even before they realized what they actually were. And there's some more cows right there that I'm going to take care of. And the spicy pepper food that I ate is now gone. But as you can see, I want to double it. It's keeping me going. Probably that. but they don't have an actual weapon. It's really kind of great. That was some good AI that they programmed there, where, you know, the monsters were like, yeah, we need to deal with you, but I don't have anything, so I'm just going to use what I got. This power is really fun and interesting because you get 3 blocks and you can, anywhere you have water, you can put them. And you can literally make yourself like a bridge with them, if you know, so inclined to do. The lights here are pretty amazing because they have glowing for who knows how long. They're probably all made out of luminous stone, and since it glows in the dark, and technically these are underground, so it's always dark, that's probably why they glow. Or it could also be blue fire, because blue fire burns for like ever, apparently, too. But those look more like stones to me, the way that they're set up. Alright, just one probably where it started. And there probably was some like decoration for the very edge of the waterfall. Which is probably where they, take deceased out to the lake and lay them to rest in the water. Dock and the bridge and the path up to the King's Rest. That doesn't look like there's anything else. This is where the spring, the river starts. Ice runoff and everything. bottom, kind of work your way up to the top. Or you could just, you know, go to the other side and get it from down there. I was going to try and jump it, but that might not be my best plan. Thinking about that some more, since, you know, I'm getting my buttons confused. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff up here in Great Plateau. And I like how there's like 2 different paths to the he fell. And well, I really want this box, so that works for me. Amber. Alright, let's see. Where is the one box? Somewhere around here. I think it's there. Alright, we're gonna see what happens with trying to climb over there. It may not go very well. I'm gonna go back up to the top. So almost understand that. To see if we can find exactly where that was at over here. Let's see. There it is. So yeah, we just climb down right here. Fire arrows! Those are fun. Nope, get up there. That almost did it for me. Who's counting? I think the game counts, but I don't know. Falling death, because I've done it enough. All right. Oh, you guys put me back up here. I think that was the greatest plan. All right. Well, that's okay. Just kind of climb over. To the top. it's more set to, you know, the number of monsters that you defeat than necessarily like a time frame, which is a little unfortunate. That's okay. Yeah, as can't hear you. That's okay. Yeah, no, apparently there was another ruins here. This might have been, you know, like the gravekeeper's house, for lack of a better term, or, you know, where they stored supplies for whenever they wanted to lay one of their dead to rest. They might have very well done it like, you know, the Northmen did, or, you know, how different media often portray Viking burials in that, you know, they put them on a boat with a bunch of stuff, their stuff, and then go through and light it ablaze after sending it down the way. I don't know how accurate burials are, but, you know, it's an interesting concept and idea. There's lots of little fires set along here, probably, you know, help keep the pilgrims or, you know, the mourners warm, if that's what this River of the Dead was used for. Yeah, the spears work much better against those guys. Yeah, it'll be interesting if you'll be able to. I'll have to play around with the potions later that you can make, but I know in previous games, like, you could take Chutel and make different potions. I was a little nervous there. And I might have also hit a jelly, which, as you saw, exploded when I hit it. Oh, no, that's probably the Goblin Cave that I saw. Alright. We'll get that last shrine. You know what? I think we will just climb down it. That'll be nice. Start coming up, dude. You might not wanna. See what happens whenever the sun does. Still trying to Alright. Maybe it's more in the morning whenever they go away. Who knows? Are there a bunch of arrows here? Nope. That's fine. Holy man is still trying to kill me. Alright. Trying to resurrect this. trying to get. This one, I know what it does. It's the one that, you know, puts stuff in place. Alright. Here's this. Stasis, that's right, that's what that's called. I completely forgot. Just across. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything. Right, it's not. I got it right at the edge. I think I got all of that actually. This time. Falls and then comes back up. Like I said, I can just, whenever I get out of here, mark here, remind myself that I have weapons and things like that in here. Alright, we will collect that. Since that is a new weapon, and it's kind of a nice weapon. Go ahead and drop this.
Ho!
Yeah, no, that's one of those things where you're like, well, that's suspicious. How does he know my name? I don't remember that being an option, or even a conversation that we had. definitely a moment in the game where I was like, wait a minute. That was kind of freaky. What happened? And then it explains it, and I'm like, oh, that makes so much more sense. Alright, working on getting down for this part. Oh, excuse me again. Apparently I'm a little gassy tonight. Oh, one's down there. There's a big old ravine. This was one of the ways that you could get up, depending upon, you know, where you approached it from. And you go through and just kind of go up these little platforms here. And you got a mushroom, type of mushroom for it. So it wasn't, you know, all bad to do it this way. Yep. Yep, I'm just kind of bad at this sometimes. But that's okay. I should be back up by the shrine, which means I'll just climb back up to the mountain where the snow is. Or, what I can do instead is, you know, look at the shrines, and guess what? It meets right here in the Temple of Time. So I can just teleport here, and then immediately go to the Temple of Time. Oh, did double check. Totally got some of those symbols backwards. I think the only one that I guessed right was Naru. So I will go back through and show everyone which one is the proper goddess. So yeah, we've explored all of the ruins on the Great Plateau, and I will probably go through each individual area and do like a save point, and then go to each area after the Great Plateau and collect their tower. So then that way we can, you know, kind of see each area individually. Which may be a little more time consuming, but I think it'll be more fun. Alright, so we're going to get out a blade that is very good at cutting. Got the shrines one after the other. Show you which ones I'm stuck on. If I had thought about Wind Waker a little bit more, I would have actually known which one was which in Wind Waker. Alright, so this is the first one. And this symbol is actually the one for ore, which kind of makes sense if ore is associated with the hero, that, you know, the hero is the one closest to mortality, as it were. And usually, a lot of times people think of her as like the younger of the three goddesses, even though I'm pretty sure they were all created into existence at the exact same time. this one is the one for Nehru. This is the one that I actually knew with the 3 symbols. And usually this one is the one associated with Zelda, you know, wisdom. And then the very last one belongs to Din, which is usually associated with Ganondorf, so it's a little weird, but if you think about it, like, people probably pilgrimed here to ask for the goddesses to use their power to intervene in certain situations or to bless certain things. So, you know, the one that made the earth would probably be the one that, you know, you wanted to pray to if you wanted, like, good crops, or, you know, anything to do with actual, like, building of things. So, her being the furthest up and the closest to the Temple of Time, because, you know, everything takes time, probably wasn't their worst idea. It's just one of those things where when you think about who each one of them is associated, you would think, why wouldn't one of the other ones be there first? Yeah, we're gonna go with heart containers since I'm so bad at this. Which,
Ho!
it's very funny how, you know, in previous games a lot of people theorized that, you know, the heart containers were the literal hearts out of the monsters that Link had defeated. And, you know, that's a very common belief system, especially in, like, more ancient cultures of Earth, is that if you eat the heart of your enemy, you gain its strength.
Hmm.
And we're gonna take the ladder up. Because again, as we've seen, I'm kind of bad at this, guys. But that's okay. It's okay to be bad at things. Because, you know, you learn, experience. And the experience is what's important. Like, for video games, the experience is what is important, because the experience is what, you know, you're playing the game for. You're wanting to know the story. Now there's a ladder around here. Where is it at? I saw it earlier too. I didn't really love it. Loves these secrets. Yes, there you are, ladder. Yeah.
Well done there, young one. Now then, the time has come to show you who I truly am. I was King Rome Bosphoramos Hyrule. I was the last leader of Hyrule. A kingdom which no longer exists. The Great Calamity was merciless. It devastated everything in its path, a century ago. It was then that my life was taken away from me. And since that time, here I have remained in spirit form. I did not think it wise to overwhelm you while your memory was still fragile. So rather than that, I thought it best to assume a temporary form. Forgive me. I think you are now ready. Ready to hear what happened 100 years ago.
Yeah.
To know Calamity Ganon's true form, one must know the story from an age long past. The Demon King was born into this kingdom, but his transformation into malice created the horror you see now. Stories of Ganon were passed from generation to generation in the form of legends and fairy tales. But there was also a prophecy. The signs of a resurrection of Calamity Ganon are clear,
But they never tell
and the
us.
power to oppose it lies dormant beneath the ground. We decided to heed the prophecy and began excavating large areas of land. It wasn't long before we discovered several ancient relics made by the hands of our distant ancestors. These relics, the divine beasts, were giant machines piloted by warriors. We also found the Guardians, an army of mechanical soldiers who fought autonomously. This coincided with ancient legends, oft repeated throughout our land. We also learned of a princess with a sacred power, and her appointed knight, chosen by the sword that seals the darkness. It was they who sealed Ganon away using the power of these ancient relics. 100 years ago, there was a princess set to inherit a sacred power, and a skilled knight at her side. It was clear that we must follow our ancestors' path. We selected 4 skilled individuals from across Hyrule and tasked them with the duty of piloting the divine beasts. With the princess as their commander, we dubbed these pilots champions, a name that would solidify their unique bond. The princess, her appointed knight, and the rest of the champions were on the brink of sealing away Ganon. But nay. Ganon was cunning, and he responded with a plan beyond our imagining. He appeared from deep below Hyrule Castle, seized control of the Guardians and the Divine Beasts, and turned them against us. The champions lost their lives, those residing in the castle as well. The appointed knight, bravely wounded, collapsed while defending the princess. And thus, the kingdom of Hyrule was devastated absolutely by Calamity Ganon. However, the princess survived to face Ganon alone.
Link, you are our final hope. The fate of Hyrule rests with you.
Yeah, King Rome made some bad decisions.
That princess was my own daughter, my dear Zelda. And the courageous knight who protected her right up to the very end. That knight was none other than you, Link. You fought valiantly when your fate took an unfortunate turn. And then, you were taken to the Shrine of Resurrection. Here you now stand, revitalized 100 years later. The words of guidance you have been hearing since your awakening are from Princess Zelda herself. Even now, As she works to restrain Ganon from within Hyrule Castle, she calls out for your help. However, my daughter's power will soon be exhausted. Once that happens, Ganon will freely regenerate himself, and nothing will stop him from consuming our land. Considering that I could not save my own kingdom, I have no right to ask this of you, Link. But I am powerless here. You must save her, my daughter, and do whatever it takes to annihilate Ganon. Somehow, Ganon has maintained control over all 4 divine beasts, as well as those guardians swarming around Hyrule Castle. I believe it would be quite reckless for you to head directly to the castle at this point. I suggest that you make your way east out to one of the villages in the wilderness. Follow the road out to Kakariko Village. There you will find the Elder Impa. She will tell you more about the path that lies ahead. Consult the map on your Sheikah slate for the precise location of Kakariko Village. Make your way past the twin summits of the dueling peaks. From there, follow the road as it proceeds north.
So yeah, King Rome made some bad choices, but you learn more about those bad choices as you gain the memories, and if you happen to play Hyrule Warriors, you learn about it there too. But you know, he was just doing what he thought was best. He actually kind of pulls his head out of his bottom in Hyrule Warriors, which is nice. And with the new game coming out in, you know, the next year or two, it's a good possibility with the context of what we just learned that yes, the different trailers that we've seen with what we're assuming is Ganondorf, he probably is under Hyrule Castle because that would be the closest point for him to, you know, attack from, where he would have his most strength gathered in one place to begin with. I won't be surprised if in the next game, you know, Rome returns and is like, hey, you haven't gotten rid of the calamity yet, it's still here. And that kind of like prompts you to go find Ganondorf. Just because, you know, spirits usually have a thing that keeps them whenever they're trapped on Earth, usually. And that 100% sounds like King Rome's problem is he wants a calamity dealt with, it to be annihilated, which implies it's never coming back. So it'll be interesting to see how they make that work for The Legend of Zelda, and then what will come after that. Yeah, told you everything I can implies that he knows a whole lot more, and depending upon who you know, ask faith-wise, the dead either, like, have perfect clarity of the past and the present, but they don't, well, the past and the future, but they don't really have a good idea of what's going on in the present. So that's why he's saying I've told you everything I can, because he's not sure where in the present he's at. He knows the future, he knows the past, but you can't really give a lot of information if you don't know where you're at in terms of time. Which I find very, very intriguing, is that he's, soldier's bow. Alright, well, as I said, we're probably gonna go ahead and save here, guys. Thank you, everyone, for watching, listening to me ramble, and go over the different runes and different places. The next spot we will probably do is the Dueling Peaks region, since that's where they're wanting us to go, and that will just be probably the easiest route to take, so then that way we can kind of go through each area individually. And like I said, I'll create like a save state where I can go through each one individually, which for some places that's going to be more hard than others. But we'll make it work. It'll be good. Alright. Thank you, everyone. Be safe. Hope you have, at least some fun with this tonight. And we'll see you all sometime in the near future. Bye.